Bharath Institute of Higher Education and Research Chennai. Admissions open for BTech, BSc Agri, BPharm, Nursing, Paramedical and Arts and Science courses.
I became a silly mad fan of his after watching probably one of his first works, which was Nadulo Konja Pakataka.
Right.
I would like to see the world through his eyes.
Okay.
You know, the way he sees it. Heroes are replaceable.
Yeah.
Artists are not replaceable. I remember the way I spoke at that time. My friends during that time used to always tell me, Mamta, you should be writing. There was a film called Arundhati, which, I was supposed to do. He just throws this bomb on me saying, Mamta, you made the biggest mistake of your career. And this is Rajamouli sir telling me this.
You use, the word I'm going to.
I know it.
You know the
yes,
word.
Yes.
Hi Mamta, welcome to Galatta Plus.
Thank you so much.
So, there is this thing that you said once, which is that I'm very shy, I'm very unconfident, and I'm happy shooting a film. But when it comes to putting myself out there in terms of promotions, and I'm not really the best person. And here we are doing a promotional interview for your return to Tamil cinema, Maharaja. How have you gotten used to it?
Well, I've promoted many films, but this in particular does not feel like a promotion per se. I feel like I've always wanted to connect with you and have a chat with you, a chit chat. Just like we were. So I'm gonna take it as an extension to what we were talking about just before we started rolling the camera.
Right.
So I have gotten used to promoting films over the years, but do I experience a certain degree of unnatural feeling stress during the 2 weeks that I'm promoting a film? Yes, I do. I think there's a part of it. I love working. I like acting. I like performing in front of the camera. I like being curious about my character, but talking about the film and promoting the work, and sometimes that the product does not come out as well as
Okay.
we had expected it to. So talking about that becomes it becomes a very, I don't like faking anything. That is number one, my problem. And I think even with social media, when you say putting yourself out there, a huge degree of it is putting a fake version of you out there too. I feel not all of it is. You might, the day that you're forced to post a picture because there is some content coming out, and there's a movie coming out, and you feel that there is a necessity. Someone has asked you to, Mamta, be relevant at least this week. Make an effort to put a few pictures out, do some photo ops, and put it out there. I might not be in the best mood to do that.
Yeah.
And so that selfie is a fake selfie. That's not there's no truth in that smile. So a part of it is tied to the artificiality of it.
Okay.
So maybe that's why, maybe it could be a false perception. And that could be because I don't think my career was built with the aid of any of this.
Right. Also, because you started in 2000.
I'm in my 19th year.
19th year.
Yes.
Right. Yeah. So, yeah, that's like
Yeah.
before any of this became such a
such a necessity, I would say.
necessity.
Yes.
Yeah. So, before we move on to other things, let's talk about Maharaja.
Yeah.
So welcome back to Tamil Cinema
Thank
again.
you, thank you.
And this is probably a most high-profile project, and it's wonderful to see you.
It is, yeah.
So there's a couple of things I want to ask you about what you said during the promotions. One is one very interesting thing that you said about Vijay Sethupathi is that a lot of people, of course, say that he's a good actor and all that, but you said something very peculiar, and I want to pick up on that. And you said he has a very philosophical approach to acting. Can you explain that?
He has a mind that articulates the process of life, okay, and nature. Anything that he comes across, the way he, regular people would just see it, call a spade, but he goes deeper into that. He observes the edges and the curves of that spade.
Okay.
And he does not speak from, there's a way he uses his words. I think he's almost in a levitational pose, and I think there's
This is
something about
normal.
that is,
Or
the
during-
way he sees things.
Okay.
So you start getting curious as to, I would like to see the world through his eyes.
Okay.
The way he sees it. He can easily convert something which appears as mundane as a phone, he can convert that into poetry.
Okay.
Something like that. There's something very intuitive about the way he sees everything in life, is what I have always felt. And this I felt about him even before I met him in person.
Okay.
there was something about, it could be because of his choice in characters in movies. I know that he's made choices which a lot of actors wouldn't normally make, and neither am I someone who consumes a lot of Tamil cinema. I watched his work, not even in a linear order. I watched Pizza. I always tell, yesterday I was asked in one interview and I said, I think I noticed him in Pizza. I started liking him in, what's that money movie? Kasu Panno Dottu Mani
Sudakavu.
Sudakavu.
Yeah.
My respect for him multifolded when he picked up a film like Sida Kati.
Yeah.
And because he was still so young
Yeah.
to do a role like that.
Yeah.
And then I became a silly mad fan of his after watching probably one of his first works, which was Nadulo Koncha Pakataka.
Right.
You know, so, and that movie happened when I was living in the US. You know, that's when I watched this because I started meeting fans of Vijay Sethupathi.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then getting to meet him in person finally was, so this person has turned out to be the person that I imagined him to be.
Nice.
So there was something, maybe it's his eyes or it has to be his bold choice of characters to begin with. Somewhere where he's not just cut out to be, it's very sad I say this, only a hero. What is hero? Heroism is, I think it's created.
Right.
I think it is, anybody can project it, shot,
Yeah.
captured in a very heroic angle.
Yeah.
Right? You build a hero. I think it's built. But an artist cannot be built. They need to be born. They need to be born with something. Very few actors are there. I've come across very few actors in Indian cinema who are gifted like that. So he has a very interesting mind.
Right.
And I think that is what this whole thing is about, this
So
excitement.
you think this approach of his seeps into his acting?
Definitely.
Okay.
Definitely, because there's a fragment of his mind's curiosity which is there, that's creating some a drama that is not deliberate. He's able to bring that into every character of his, is what I feel.
Right.
I've always felt it. To this date, I did watch Maharaja, and he's brought some element of his own into it, and that is why I feel he's just been perfect in every. I can't imagine anybody else having played any of those characters that he's.
Right.
Whereas a typical formula hero kind of roles, one is, heroes are replaceable.
Yeah.
Artists are not replaceable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a great way to put it.
Yeah.
Do you think you can like mention a scene where you were like with him and you kind of be a little bit more specific about what he did?
In Maharaja,
Huh.
I can't say that I was in that scene. But I mean, it's through the days of promotion that we had been together and there was some exchange. So, because I was not present in that scene, the scene that I liked the most of his.
Right.
See, the film itself requires it is a slow brew, the film. The film is an experience. In fact, it'll leave you perplexed towards the climax. You will wonder, how did I get to this emotion? There's not one scene that I can pinpoint and say, this is the reason why I feel this way in the climax.
yeah.
It's a very slow sort of, I can't use the word on camera, but you know, it's a slow mind.
Yeah.
It's amazing how the actor has prepared himself to be able to shoulder what the director expected him to do.
Right.
And Sir himself, Sethu Anna himself told me that he had to be controlled, because with experience, what happens is, this had happened to me as well. With Nithilan, the director, giving us such little input, not suggesting anything at the same time. With our experience, what we tend to do is we are curious. We want to do more for the character.
Yeah,
What
yeah.
can we put from our hand,
yeah.
right? But he's controlling us. We're steering up. No, he brings us back. Going down. So Sethu sir said that I was trying to bring in some dark humor, because he doesn't know what Nithilan's plan is.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
For the larger picture. So it was very interesting. I think once Sethu sir landed in that space, what part of him is every part of him is acting in the same, you know, where is Lakshmi?
Yeah.
I think once you start watching the film, whenever you do get the chance to, please do. I think every hairstand of him is asking the same question.
Right.
You know, and
right.
that drama, I don't know if I see it this way because I feel so connected to him, but I've always admired. There should be something special about him for me to have felt. You know, he's one of my most favorite actors.
And
so.
and In a way, I kind of, because I did want to ask you about your own acting as well,
Yeah.
but because you made this statement, it made me very curious because sometimes actors, co-artists observe things about their co-stars that people like us who are watching just a movie don't.
Yeah.
So the process is very fascinating. So
Yeah.
thank you for,
Yeah, okay.
taking me
Yeah, I
through
know it
that.
was supposed to be my question, but then, I kind of, pivoted it slowly,
No,
onto
yeah, yeah. No, it
Sethu
actually,
sir.
so the
Because
other,
this is the process. I was also controlled in the same manner.
Yeah.
There was a certain meter in which I had to stay. It was very hard because I didn't have a lot to do. So when there is not much and the director is not giving you much input, where do you stay? You're always left with a question mark.
Yeah.
So I did not know where my character is going to go with this. It does it is there going to, because I like to have a beginning, middle and end, right? You would like to
Yeah.
think that there is a graph for the character. But when you're not told what that graph is,
Yeah.
how do you carry your emotion?
Yeah,
Which
yeah.
emotion am I supposed to stay in? So that is completely at the discretion of my director now, right? So in this film, I would say this is definitely this is a maker's film.
Right.
Nithilan has made this film from nothing, from air.
Yeah.
Right. So it is amazing to work with a team that knows, work with a director that knows what he wants as
Nice.
well.
Yeah.
We can have all the experience that we want. But I think experienced actors also can do one more thing. Once we learn the craft enough and we're confident we're very secure in our own roles, we we can get ourselves to a point where we know, okay, my director is expecting me to unlearn and surrender all my experience and come here
Yeah.
empty.
Right.
He does not want anything from me. He wants me to be the person that he wants me to be.
Right.
Right. So it is, that process is very nice. Each movie it is different.
Different, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So about your own process, once you said something very interesting.
Mm.
I think it was during live. You said that self-sabotage is a very important part of an actor's repertoire. You need to be able to hurt yourself in order to bring something to your character.
Mm-hmm.
And again, I'm a little curious about this statement. Can you explain that?
I can't apply that to myself because maybe in some ways I am, but I'm very conscious and fully aware of what a lot of actors do. There is a fracture that they like to have in their lives. These fractures can be from their own life experiences because that is what emotionally impacts you the most.
Right.
So as long as you maintain a fracture in your life, there is still a part of you that is a little broken. And when there's a part of you that is a little broken, it is possible for you to be a little more available to feeling your characters because you're emotionally still open. There is a little wound there, and I think you can't be an all-knowing, closed-off person. I know everything and, I'm completely fine, heal, and, everything is going great. I feel you penetrate your characters penetrate you a little lesser,
Right.
and I think that sort of a fracture helps. Now, for example, in 5 seconds, how is it that an actor is able to cry? There has to be something that has to be emotionally true for that person.
Right.
A memory of a joy or a memory of of someone passing, or we recruit emotions from these fractures that we have in our lives. And fractures need not necessarily mean they're all sad and sob story and broken. The fractures can even have beautiful memories,
Right.
So I feel that this is just my perception, and I think I have used it. There was a large part of me that felt that for the longest time, maybe I am keeping my life fractured in several ways. And for me, it could have been my health situation.
Right.
Right?
But that was
Continuously,
not, sorry to interrupt, but that was not under your control.
it wasn't under my control.
Yeah.
So it is, I don't think everything is controlled. I don't think these are naturally occurring fractures that I'm
Okay,
talking
okay,
about,
okay,
not
okay.
keeping it.
Because the word self-sabotage is interesting. So it's like, you're saying I hold on to that.
So if you don't put in the work to heal from that negative experience, most people don't put in the work. They move from one movie to another, to a heartbreak, to a marriage, to a divorce, to another movie, to heal from the pain. People are moving very fast.
Okay.
I would say that I have definitely invested about 1 or 2 years of my time to reflect and to think, Mamta, what the hell are you doing to yourself? You're falling sick and you're running to do a film. You're doing that because you're trying to escape from the reality of the fact that your body needs a break.
Right.
And you've allowed other things to happen to you just so that you did those things to make yourself feel better.
Ah,
You get what I'm saying? So remaining in that mind space and not even allowing yourself to feel those things, or let us say introspect,
right.
is a fracture. When you remain in that fracture and don't heal from these things, and you moved at a pace where you've not even spent a moment with yourself, what happens is at some point in your life, maybe it's a role that demands you to challenge yourself a little bit. You
Okay.
can use an emotion from that fracture because there's some part of you that is still broken,
Right.
you know. So I feel I did do that for a long time, but it also kept me in a vicious cycle of several relapses, unhappy relapses,
Yeah.
you know, with my health situation. And I felt that it's about time to heal from it, to come from a much stronger place, you know. And that has basically made me, there were times when I'm happy all the time. I'm living a very joyful life. Besides cinema, let us say I don't even have work, and I'm by myself in LA, and you know, I have this very, you know, intense script that has come. I'm like, man, how am I gonna get that sad? Like, how do I feel the pain of that character? Let us say it's a mother who's losing a child. It's a role like that that I need to do. I'm like, man, I don't feel maternal right now. Those are gone. Like, you know, those years are gone for me. Where am I supposed to recruit that pain from? You know, so I'm in a, so now like, okay, now I have to really act, you know, now I have to really become someone that is, and there's a little bit of that fakeness. I don't like not feeling something fully.
Right.
I'm someone who likes to feel everything very deeply and very passionately and intensely. I almost romanticize my, you know, my emotions. So I think that is what I meant by making that statement during Live's promotion.
Right.
The self-sabotage space, you know,
Yeah.
and I think most people do that,
Yeah.
without realizing it.
Right. So, in a way, I mean, you are kind of talking about what used to be called the method. Uh,
Yeah.
uh, but in a way, are you saying that a wholesome person who comes from a very happy family and who's had no negative experiences cannot be a true actor? Are you trying to maybe say that? And
I
I don't
think
mean this in a bad way.
have had no negative experiences is being in denial.
Right. Something must have happened. Right. Like a
100%.
pet cat died or
It's
something.
life.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
In life, several things happen. How much time have you spent in making peace with that situation?
Ah,
That is what makes you understand that emotion too. You need to allow yourself to be fully vulnerable
yeah, yeah.
in every situation. A lot of people are scared to be vulnerable.
Right.
If you haven't allowed yourself to feel that emotion, how have you experienced that situation?
Right.
If you don't make yourself available to vulnerability of that situation, you've not experienced it.
Yeah, yeah.
So it is very important to experience life. Sort of like தொட்டு வாழணும். You know, you have to have your feet on the ground to feel
Yeah.
what that feels like, what the friction feels like. You need to burn a little. You need to learn to heal from it. You need to fall. You need to get up. But in recent times, you know, coming back to cinema, I've heard a lot of the young talent. They cannot take failure.
Okay.
They're very sensitive to failure, and a lot of them are on, you know, drugs that will assist them psychologically.
Oh, wow. Okay.
One movie fails and they don't sign the next gig immediately, or even if they have a hit film and they don't get the next one immediately, they're already feeling very threatened.
Okay.
So, and they make a lot of relevant, you know, appearances on social media, and you know, it's all one thing. One thing compensates for the lack of another. You know, so everybody's in some sort of a rat race, but we don't get that far by doing that. I guess I don't know.
Yeah, and
To each their own.
you know, you've reached this far by, I mean, I've never seen you as being part of a rat race because you've been very specific about the things that you do. I don't know, it just comes across it when one looks at your filmography.
Yeah, I
It's
think
not
I've
like
been.
some super planned, I have to act with this star, that star, this star. That doesn't come across
No,
like.
in the beginning of my career, I did get an opportunity to work with a lot of stars.
Right,
I mean,
right.
of course, in my
Or
early,
even as late
see,
as
I was,
Janaganamana, you know,
yeah,
yeah, right,
yeah.
with Prithviraj and
Yes,
all
yes,
that. Yeah,
of
yeah,
course.
yeah.
But I mean, if you look at it, I was 21 when I worked with actors like Mamuka and Lalitan, and you know, I was very young. I was playing roles which felt absolutely unnatural for me. Plus, I was an NRI, so there was a lot of me that was. Um, when Hariharan sir, when director Hariharan had come to, you know, had told me about the first film, which was an accidental landing into cinema.
Right.
My first thing to him was, I'm okay with doing Hollywood films, but not Indian films, you know. Malayalam, yeah, I'm a big fan of yours, so I'll come and meet you. That was my, you know,
Right.
the approach that I had at that time. Mean no disrespect, absolute respect to art. But I did all that when I was much younger. So then one would ask, okay, so what, you know, what are the actors that you want to work with now? But there are still so many artists that I haven't worked with. And I want to work with so many actors still there in Tamil. I still haven't explored the industry. I think the industry has not explored me.
Yeah.
When it comes to Telugu films, even though I've done 6 films, my entry into industry itself was with Rajamouli sir. There's a part of me that always feels it's now that I understand cinema.
Right.
This is Mamta version 2.0, you know. I wish some of the directors of that time would have worked with me now. This me,
Right.
you know, who knows how to understand characters, someone who knows what to bring to the character, and she's very curious about the character. It's a different person. Back then, I was like a child.
Right.
I had to grow up, do a little of grow. You know, I had a little growing up to do.
Right.
Yeah.
We brought up Telugu Rajamouli. What was it like acting in a fantasy like Yamadonga? You know, just like
This was even before we were really introduced to fantasy films, right? I
Right,
mean,
right.
Rajmouli sir is one of his beginning works into
Yeah.
mythology and
Yeah,
you know
yeah,
such movies. Grand sets, things that I've never seen before.
It was your biggest film till that point, right?
Yeah, it was my biggest. Yeah, I was just it was the 3rd or 4th year of my career.
Yeah.
Still a time when I really questioned, Mamta, what are you doing in this industry? I'm still in that space. So you can imagine I'm literally going to just copy what the director's asking me to do, right? I'm not using my mind to do the role. But grand sets, costumes that I've never worn before, feeling uncomfortable wearing most of the things that I was given. I even threw, you know, even threw a little tantrum on one of the days when I had to wear something really short. Was naturally making me feel very uncomfortable because we had 200 people on the sets. It was not a Malayalam film set, Polella. It was very, very different, very overwhelming.
Yeah.
Dancing in a certain way. These were very unnatural for me. I'm not someone who thought that I would come into cinema. At least there would be a part of me that is preparing myself for it.
Yeah.
Everything was just happening so fast for me. But Rajamouli sir, as a director, very intense, can come off as being a little rude at times, but it is, you know, his, of course, Rama Didi, his wife would be there, you know, Mamta, that's not his intention, you know, he's not, when he's making a film, he's a mad fellow, you know, just put up with him. So I was like, okay, auntie, you know. So, it was very new for me, and there was a lot of learning to do. I still had to grow up from that experience as well. There was
Right.
so much of me that needed to understand cinema in a manner you would try to understand something much better and very differently when you put your mind to doing this for the rest of
Yeah,
your life.
yeah.
You get what I'm saying? When you're thinking about making it a career, your approach changes.
Right.
At this time, I'm not trying to absorb anything. I'm just trying to go with the flow of things. Yes, they asked me to sing Ola Mitikariginda, which was the original NTR song. So I don't know anything about Telugu industry when I did my first film.
Right.
The biggest pressure, the biggest challenge for me was when Rajamouli sir called me and told me that, Mamta, I'm not going to release the film if you don't dub for your role.
Oh.
So that was like one of the biggest challenges. And I think I cried that day because I was already being stretched in the one and only Kannada film that I did called Ghoulie. And I was going through 16 to 18 hour schedules already every day. And he said, it's okay. After that, after your shoot gets over at night, come and dub. You can dub till morning. 4-5 days, you'll be done. And he actually sent his AD team to Bangalore to get me to dub for Yamadonga. So as much as I was pushed, you know, during that time, I think there was a part of me that was, like I said, experiencing the first fractures of cinema, you know, of what the real challenges are when you're going to work with somebody like someone like Rajamouli, who expects you to deliver exactly what he wants you to deliver as an actor.
Yeah.
So you need to be pushed. Those buttons needed to be pushed by someone.
Yeah.
So I'm very glad that I went through those experiences in the start of my career. That has prepped me better. In my introspection years, I've thought about all these things, about all the initial years of my career, me as a person, my childhood, about my it's good. The pause in life was very good, and I think these intermissions that I've had has really helped me stay this long as well, you know,
Right,
in the
right.
industry and still be relevant.
Yeah.
19th year into the career and still getting, you know, roles. Some of them coming to me saying that, Mamta, I think this was kept, you know, we kept you in mind while,
Yeah, yeah.
you know, while writing this, while developing this. It's a nice thing to hear,
Yeah.
you know, and I'm grateful.
So that's exactly it, right? So see, when I see Brahmam, which is the remake of Andhadhun that came on, it was released on OTT directly, right?
Yes.
So when
We spoke shortly
we
after
spoke,
that as
yeah,
well.
yeah, yeah.
Yes, yes.
So
You know,
when,
most people, there were a couple of actresses who actually declined to do Brahmam because it had a negative shade.
oh, okay,
It's still happening.
right,
Yeah.
right. No, but I can imagine you choosing to do that film because it's a huge challenge.
Yeah.
It's a fantastic, meaty role, and you know anybody would
Tabu
love to
is
do that, and
awesome.
it's you're an
Yeah.
actor, all that, right?
Yeah.
But then any actor, hero, heroine, whatever it is, unless you're like some super galactic star, you need a mix of you need to do other kinds of films as well, and you're not always going to get the best of roles. I'm
Yeah.
not saying you, but anybody, right?
Anyone.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So these lesser roles, so to speak,
Hmm.
and the last time you were in Tamil, which is Enemy, which is like, it was literally one of those. Okay, we need someone to die, and let's have Mamta Mohandas in this role. And I was like, oh my God, you guys just wasted a good actor in this role, which could have been done by anybody. So, and I mean this with complete respect.
Oh, no, I
Yeah,
never take
yeah,
offense.
no,
Yeah.
but what I was trying to get my head around is, so when it comes to, you know, it's like you've got to do one of these movies which where you don't have much scope.
Yeah.
How do you pick that role and say, no, this is not worth it, but maybe this I'll just do? Well, like, how do you do that
Well,
calculation?
as honest as I should be with you, at the time I was really looking out to do something in Tamil.
Okay.
And there had to be a film where, you know, I had to okay something.
Right.
So come to Tamil, do something where the production is not too bad. The director is a good,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
a known person. He had done Nota or something
Yeah,
at the
yeah,
time
yeah, yeah.
in Telugu,
Yeah.
right? And Anand, yes.
Yeah.
And Mini Studios was in a bad banner, and I've worked with Vishal before, and my character was basically paired opposite Arya. So this was about placement or some kind of, you know, let me nudge the audience. Hey, I'm
Nice.
still here.
Okay.
Because at the time I was doing, I'd also heard from a lot of sources when they look for me from Tamil, there's always this wrong information going out saying that, oh, she's not here, she's living in the US, oh, her health is not good. I'm literally in the next state, you know, shooting non-stop. Can't you do some research and like actually get to the right? So that is where, you know, prior to starting the interview, I told you, I always operated, it's just me and my mom. You know, we're trying to, all these years, it's been just the two of us trying to, you know, manage the career. So there's no one to represent me.
You don't have a manager.
No, I didn't
You don't have a
until this
PR.
point. No,
Right.
no.
You have not one now?
Well, now, yeah, I'm kind of like working with Root slowly
Okay.
to kind of get into mainstream and to kind of, you know,
But you
get
are
the feelers
mainstream.
out there. I am like, you know, trying to get into the mainstream here.
Okay.
I think people still think that I'm not around
Yeah.
or I'm not accessible. So I'm going to assign like a point of contact so that, you know, people don't have wrong, you know, a wrong notion. That's not good. That's not healthy.
Right.
Especially, it's very easy for people to see what I get is not her date is unavailable, or what I hear most often coming back to me is, oh, she's not well. She's not
Right.
sick. This is the easiest way to dodge something away from me. Mamta is still sick. I'm not. You know, I could be sick in my head, but
Right.
but you know,
But that's the fracture.
That's a
That's
fracture.
good, yeah.
You know, it's healthy and it's a joke. I humor everything. I humor my, you know, my health condition as well all the time because that's the way I get by, and I think that's a very very healthy and powerful way to show up, you know, each and every day. And I want to change that narrative. I am here. I'm doing films. I'm doing multiple films. Am I going to be choosy and selective? It's about time that I am. I don't want to die in every film, like you said.
Yeah.
So Enemy was one such appearance that I made so that I'm working with a good team. And quite obviously, what I would wish after that is someone would know that Mamta is still around. You know, I just wanted to tickle people's minds again. And I did get two more projects after that immediately, quite immediately. We had COVID come after that, and then I was supposed to do a film called Karume Gangalye Kalengiranga. That was Tangar Bachchan's movie. Character was very interesting. I liked it, but it got rescheduled multiple times, and I was already working on a Malayalam. And Modern Families remake was there in Tamil, Telugu. So I was going to do Bharti Raja sir's film. That again, I had literally the 10 days that they were planning to
Modern
shoot.
Love, you mean?
Yeah, Modern Love.
The anthology.
Yes, the
Okay.
anthology.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes. So Bharti Raja sir had directed one
Yeah,
one
yeah,
film in
yeah.
that. So I was going to do that. Um, so those 10 days also literally got scheduled at the time when, because the actor also had to be available, the hero had to be available.
Yeah.
So I literally gone to LA. I was still living in LA at the time.
Yeah.
So a little bit of this and that is the reason why I had to wait this long to do a film like Maharaja. And hopefully, see, the good thing is I'm doing Maharaja right now. I mean, Maharaja is going to come out right now, and I'm already working on another Tamil film currently. And this
Right.
has never happened in Tamil for me before.
Nice.
So I think it is a real comeback.
Right,
Yeah.
right. Now, the other thing that you said about Maharaja in that, you said that, people usually call me bold and other things, but this film, I was literally in knots by the time it ended, because it made you feel something
Yeah.
emotionally.
Yeah.
Obviously, without giving too much away.
Yeah.
What was that feeling?
Oh, it was just extremely emotional, just extremely. It felt like it had touched some places inside me. Um, when you cry happily, when you cry so much, and you cry, you'll enjoy that crying as well,
Yeah,
right? It
yeah.
was just, I was crying for a very long time, almost 20 minutes. I was crying to a point where I'm like, you get that it's so heavy inside you. There's so
Right.
much that you needed to let out, and it was just a beautiful feeling. And I always feel that I have my emotions figured out as far as watching a cinema is concerned, right? You feel that because you look at films so technically as well, as much as just sitting and watching
Right,
it as an
right.
audience. There's so much of you that is so analytical these days. I think our audience is also very analytical. These are the ones who review our films even before they release, right?
Yeah.
So similar to that, you keep that approach, and because you are sitting in an edit suite and watching this film, and you want to be a little analytical to know if this film is actually going to penetrate.
Yeah.
So you toughen up. Hey, I'm going to challenge you. Are you going to make me feel anything? Maharaja just teared me up completely. It was an experience
Right.
that I haven't felt with a movie in so long. I'm not saying it because it's my movie. When I was doing the film, I did not know the entirety of the route in which it is coming to the climax. I know what the climax is,
Yeah.
but I did not know how it is going to get to the climax, right? So when I watched the film, I thought I knew the story, and still it affected me so
Yeah,
much.
yeah.
So I'm very curious to see how it's going to impact the audience who doesn't even know, what to expect from the
Yeah,
film.
yeah.
We've given little snippets. Yes, people think the film is about. A lot of people asked in the interviews as well. Is the film basically about the quest for Lakshmi? But that is just 20-30% of the
Yeah,
actual
yeah,
film. But it's
yeah.
a hook.
It's a hook.
Right? The question
Yeah,
is a hook.
that's a very good trailer. And I think I'm someone who tries to go as much as possible with a blank slate, because I know that, however
Yeah.
much you like a director, the movie could go wrong, like you say, or, you might not expect anything from a movie and could go wonderfully right.
Yeah.
But this particular film, because Nithilan's making a film after such a long time, and because he
What
made,
took you 6-7 years?
yeah,
right?
and because Kurungu Boma is such an experience, and
Yeah.
because Vijay Sethupathi is in this
Yeah,
movie,
yeah.
somehow like I'm so pumped about it.
Anurag Kashyap.
Yeah, Anurag. So I'm really pumped about it, and I'm
Yeah.
like, just breathe, just breathe. Just see it like a normal movie. Just like I'm
Yeah.
just trying to get at that point.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
so yeah, you've talked about your health, and you've also put it out. You've never hidden anything from whether it was the cancer or the Hodgkin's or the vitiligo or whatever
Yeah.
it is, right? It's like you've always been open about these things. Now, one it's fantastic, because it's like when a celebrity in a way is very open about these things, it helps a lot of other people that are struggling with these things. But in this era where everything is, they look only for the sensational news, there was a time when the minute you typed in Mamta Mohandas, the only thing that would appear was she has this condition, she has that condition, she has this condition. Like how did you manage that time? Because it was like, it's almost like nobody was talking about the films. It was only about
Yeah.
this,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. But as much as you would type that and see only this pop up, um, that has been pretty much, what's been going on in my life as well.
Right.
So both these announcements, be it, back in the day in 2010 about my lymphoma and, very recently last year about my autoimmune, they were, I don't want to say call it announced. I shared it, okay, in media only when it got to a point where I was feeling suffocated by onlookers
Okay.
because I didn't speak about it immediately. In fact, about my lymphoma, I came out with it only a year and a half later
But
in a
you
women's
mean others
magazine.
knew about it?
Sorry?
It was public knowledge though.
Not public knowledge. I mean, it's through media that public gets to know about it, right?
Right. But the
I was
media was
shooting,
speculating, is what you're saying.
not the media, it's just common people.
Okay.
Yeah, common people asking me, Mamta, where is your hair?
Oh, like that.
Every day you can't hear this. Every day you can't hear, oh, Mamta, you're looking pale. Mamta, are you having anemia?
Yeah.
Mamta, are you this? Are you that?
right.
How long can you give answers? And yeah, you don't have to feel answerable, correct, to all these questions.
Right.
But you are a public figure. Can I leave all this and go live somewhere else? No, I can't. Who will work then?
Right.
Right? So post 2018, my dad, went into retirement. And after that, I don't have a sibling. I'm not married. So I don't have a dependent. I am completely by myself and I have dependents, right? Which I take care of my parents now or the family. The family runs with my security. That's a huge responsibility. So you have to manage bad health. You have to make sure that, you stay, you've achieved a certain, position in your career and you need to stay there and still be relevant and still get the similar kind of roles
Right.
without plummeting and doing, character roles every once in a while. That's not enough.
Right.
A lot of things get affected if you make poor career decisions. So all these need to be kept in a balance. So how can I lighten the burden on myself when I'm diagnosed with something new? In fact, there are still some other things which I've not talked about those because I feel it's very unnecessary.
Right.
You don't want more and more. You don't want you don't want this to be your narrative.
Right.
Right. This is not your whole story. This is just a part of my story. So the vitiligo also, it's a very, now you need to understand that these are very visible problems. These are not something that you've got on the inside and it's not being expressed outside. My vitiligo had gotten really bad when I decided to lighten my burden. So I would say carrying this within me was very difficult because there were people who asked me on my face. So as much as people say that they like you and they respect you and they're your fans and they admire you, I don't understand why people do not know how to respect each other's privacy.
But that's an Indian thing, I think.
It's an Indian thing, no?
Yeah, yeah.
So having lived overseas, having felt that I can roam around wearing anything.
Yeah.
I don't need to cover my white patches and wearing anything living abroad. And then you come back here and you slammed with these because there's a lot of stress that you undergo. First of all, for anyone who's going through a health condition, any sort of stress is bad.
Yeah.
Right? You need to stay away from stress as much as possible because all of it causes inflammation. Inflammation just makes things worse. So in order to avoid these situations, and they also ask it to you in a very direct sort, it's not even gentle. They're not kind with the way they ask you. So I had just returned from the States where I had literally, kept all my burden down and felt so light. It was a year or 2 New Years ago. And I had felt so good and I'd forgotten that I had vitiligo. My spread was massive, but in those 2 weeks, all it took was 2 weeks for me to feel so much lighter in LA. So I took a break and I came back. I was sitting at home for 3 days just recovering. Yeah, off late I've been extremely antisocial because I can't go out anywhere without makeup. When I stayed at home for 3 days and I just decided to step out just to fill gas in the middle of the night. My dad was like, Mamta, that car has been lying there for the last 3 weeks. Please just go put some gas in it. I just drive out. So I've forgotten to wear a jacket. I've forgotten to wear a shawl. And I go and I've just lowered my window to give my hand the card out. And obviously they saw my hand and my neck and he literally bobbed his head in. He's like, are you madam? என்னாச்சு உங்களுக்கு, you know, like what happened to your neck and your hands, and you know, did you get burnt or did you get, it was so direct. Like I literally drove back home in full silence, feeling 20 kilos heavier. Like, you know, just I sweat. The moment he asked me, I just sweat. And I was like, oh my God, I'm back here. You know, Mamta, like, you know, what were you thinking? So that is, it's a tough one to live with. Like, it's a tough one to get by. And the following week, I took my parents, I just went off to a resort. I I was like, I just need to get away, you know, or just need to hide. Basically, I'm in hiding. So I was like, I just need to hide for 3 days somewhere. And then on the third day, I just decided, you know what, I'm going to come out with this, because otherwise, this is, as long as it's inside me, it's a burden for me. And I'm not able to breathe. I was also having some other lung issues at the time. It's a lot of little things to manage. And yes, do I have to manage a few things pretty much on a day-to-day basis? I do have to. But do I show up as efficient as, or sometimes in some cases even more efficient than people around me? Yes, I do. Every day. To work, to my family, to my friends, to life. And I love that about myself.
Right.
And I think for that for this reason alone, I think I'm extremely proud of myself. And that is my strength. I see strength in that, and that helps me get me through my days, bring the best that I can to cinema,
Yeah.
and whatever characters. So even when I do my roles, I want to put my heart into it, my heart and soul into it. I just believe that this is a life that I got back, and I want to be awake to every single moment for the rest of it, you know.
I found that very inspiring when you said that I didn't get cancer. Cancer got me. I may not be quoting this
No,
correctly.
oh my God, this is something that I said so long ago.
Yeah. No, cancer didn't get me.
Yeah.
I got cancer. Something like that. I found that very inspiring when I read that. because-
Yeah.
Like as in you conquered it.
Yeah,
rather
I
than-
conquered it. Yeah, it did
yeah,
not
yeah.
catch me.
Yeah. So that was like really, really inspiring.
Yeah, in fact, when you know I started this, in fact, I was one of the first trial. I went to do a clinical trial
Okay.
for Hodgkin's lymphomas, nivolumab. It was that drug is one of a kind, and I was fortunate enough to be one in the 23 patients that, you know, any data that you see on nivolumab, I'm the number 4 out of those 23 patients.
Oh, okay.
You know, so I was very fortunate to get that drug. And what was interesting at the time was, I mean, obviously, I'm an actor and I go back there and I have a way I see things. I was also in a very philosophical space with my mind at that time. So I think a lot of this relative, you know, connection that I feel with people who speak or see the world very philosophically is the fact that I'd been through that. And
Right.
I remember the way I spoke at that time. My friends during that time used to always tell me, Mamta, you should be writing. You know, and I remember the first thing that I said about that medicine when it went into me, and you know, I immediately felt, you know, changes, because I'd been the chemos and the transplant and been through everything, and finally I'm getting this new experimental drug. I gave it one. I just called it the water of life,
Okay.
because it felt like water. There was nothing. You don't feel anything. There's no after effect. There's no side effect. Nothing. It just goes through you, but it does some magic and it goes, you know, it gives you life and it goes out of your system. And apparently in Bristol Myers and Squibb, which is the pharma in Princeton, they actually put a huge picture of me and they called this drug the water of life. And they found it very, very interesting, and it inspired a lot of people to come and, you know, explore this drug. It's a very, very exciting drug in the market. So, you know, there are many verticals of being human that I have had to explore because of the journeys that I went through. My life is not restricted to only exploring the actor side of me.
Yeah.
There's a huge, I feel that there's a lot of growing up in several verticals that you need to do as a person. Most people who are doing films, they're only doing films.
Yeah.
Of course, they're exploring everything that they can as far as cinema is concerned. But along with that comes they're stuck when it comes to, you know, they want fame, they want money, they want power, they want to be number one, they want to be called superstar. They're stuck in that world.
Right.
It's a bubble of its own. But I've had to break out of that bubble. I can't be reliant.
But you wanted that as well at one
I
point.
wanted that as well.
Right.
And I grew up in an environment which was more, you know, multinational, and, you know, it was about everything. I thought that I would be an investment banker. And then I thought I would be a race car driver. But I'm none of that. I'm a film actor. You know, and I thought I would be doing part-time singing. So
Yeah.
that which it's a hobby and it's a passion. I would still continue to do that. But there are so many sides of it. There's so many. I think it's very important to stay updated.
Yeah.
Live in this world. Don't live just in this world. This bubble of a world. So,
Right.
so it's all of that that makes me curious and makes me the way I am, I guess.
Now, I understand that these real life experiences somehow feed into the acting because now you've experienced a lot more. But is it true that cinema also feeds into your life? As in, has cinema taught you anything beyond the technical stuff, of course, but something personal?
Maybe cinema has made me push certain boundaries which I would not have explored otherwise. How has it been counterproductive? It's mostly from life into cinema.
Okay.
Cinema into life, whatever I've used in cinema has also been, of course, people interaction.
Okay.
The kind of people that I meet and I learn a lot from them. Some of them are extreme, it's their talent. Some of them, they're so resilient. Some of them are extremely hardworking. You learn different things from different people.
Yeah.
That has definitely helped. It always helps, the people interaction, because I've not had, even though I grew up abroad, I know I'm not street smart.
Right.
So I did not know, I didn't have a sibling either. So I did not know how to be in agreement, how to work in tandem with something that is not in agreement with me. So that is something that I learned from cinema, and then some experiences in personal life. Because in my family, maybe my dad and mom would call something white, and I would say, yeah, it's white, or maybe another shade of white. We are in agreement always because that's how families operate. It took me a long time to understand that within the same family, you can have different people who like different colors. Uh, because I would get upset if someone said, Mamta, no, you're seeing it as white, but that's actually black. I would get very upset. I did not know how to stand up for myself because I didn't know. I don't have a household where someone's arguing to put the other person down. But real world is not like that. Someone might say something to put you down, to take your confidence away. So feeling secure, what confidence is, being more comfortable with my own body image, all of that is something that cinema taught me. Had I not been in front of camera, I don't know if I would have become more comfortable with all of this earlier in life. So I was able to experience all this before the age of 30 because of with the aid of cinema. I don't think I would have walked as far as I did into the deepest depths of forest to get to one waterfall, stand at the tip of a cliff and wave my sari. These are things we do for cinema.
Yeah.
And all these things teach you a little,
Yeah.
small things. As much as, okay, a leech is going to sit there on your leg for some time, and then this is how, it travels in several directions. There are tiny, beautiful things that you learn, through
Right.
experiencing life in cinema. And I take a lot of that into life as well,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
I think there's that, in that way, there's been
Yeah.
a lot of share.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you look back at some of the decisions that you've either made or not made? For example, there was news recently that Arundhati was offered to you, and for whatever reasons you could not do that, but then it went on to become a big blockbuster. Do you look back and say, damn, I wish I'd done that? And is that
And when it was Rajamouli sir who first told me about this. Because when I met him for Yamadonga, he told me, Mamta, how come you didn't do a Telugu film? I said, sir, I mean, as soon as I did my first film, the first calls that I got were from the Telugu industry. For some reason, KRG, the producer of Mayugam, which was my first movie, he was well known in Tamil and Telugu. And he had some contacts. So I had some very big names call me, but I didn't even know these names. First of all, I should have wanted cinema that much
Yeah,
back then.
yeah.
I was just in my final year degree at that time. It was Rajamouli sir who told me, when he asked me this, I said, well, sir, 2 years ago, there was a film called Arundhati, which, I was supposed to do. Shyam Prasad Reddy Garu had called me, and, we went, everything was signed and confirmed. But then some manager I'd kept a manager for 1 year in Tamil. So what happened is, Sivapati Garam was brought to me through him. And this movie went away because of him.
okay?
Arundhati, because I don't know any better, so I didn't know whom to ask, and obviously I asked him. Shyam Prasad Reddy has brought me this film, and sadly he is no more, that person, and he said, no, that Shyam Prasad Reddy has not had a hit in a long time. In the last movie, he lost a lot of money. Yes, he launched Saundarya and all that, and gave me big build up, and then also poofed that dream, right? Like right away in a snap. It was gone. And I was like, so are you saying that this is a bad film to do? He said, you're making a big mistake. Big mistake. You will get much better films in Telugu. I'll make sure. You know, these are the kind of, you know, so I didn't know, not know any better. Plus, Telugu is a language which I have never heard of. Like, I've not watched a Telugu film. I don't know how the language sounds. So I was all obviously new, nervous, thinking that cinema is just temporary, just fun. You know, I haven't even put my mind to doing it. So why wouldn't I just, as convinced as I was with Arundhati and excited, both my mom and me were extremely excited about the film. We came into it, we come out of it in month 3, and obviously Sir was extremely upset about it. 2 years later, I'm telling the story to Rajamouli sir, and he's like, Mom, the first thing he told me was, so as it is, I'm nervous standing in front of him for Yamadonga itself, because the character is a very unnatural, unusual character. Dhanlakshmi was a very, she's a vendor who, you know, rents out things to Junior NTR's character. So she's like a baddie, right? So as nervous as I am to, you know, take this character up and learn the slang and everything, he just throws this bomb on me saying, Mamta, you made the biggest mistake of your career. And this is Rajamouli sir telling me this. How am I supposed to feel? What do you think I would have felt? Sweat? Like, whoosh, you know? I was like flushed. And well, he said that. I felt terrible about it for some time. See, very soon enough, right? In a year or two, in fact, the day that Arundhati released, by then I was on film number 5 in Telugu. And because that film took about 2 years to make, to come out. So I was sidelined in the 5th film that I did because it didn't turn out to be the kind of film that they said it would be. My role had been edited out. And I was so disappointed, and I still remember this was December 18th, 2008, when these films came out. Both these films released on the exact same day. A film that I should have been in, which grossed everything, and another film in which I almost appeared to be a second lead and an irrelevant second lead.
Right.
You can imagine my frustration. And here I am still thinking, you know, what am I doing in cinema? So it was on that day that I decided I'm going to put my foot into this properly, focus, and make a career out of this. But soon enough, 6 months down the road, I was diagnosed with lymphoma. So, you know, so I was like, you know, there's no point in holding on to things, you know, sometimes get better at learning the art of letting go.
Yeah.
And I got better at that. And that has always helped me face any success or failure always with a pinch of salt. If I have a very successful film, it doesn't go up to my head because I know actors, right? I mean, okay, this movie's remuneration is 50 lakhs. Have a super hit, next film's remuneration 75 lakhs. I've never done that even once in my career. And I feel good about the way things have always gone for me. I feel my longevity, the respect that I have, all that weighs a lot more than, you know, having a short run, hurting a lot of people's, you know, egos. I'm not going to get anything out of it. So I kind of like this, being in a peaceful place with everything and making peace with everyone and being happy. If I'm happy, I can continue doing films. And I
Right.
think that I will attract the right movies as well that way.
There was this quote that I read that you like to surround yourself with people with good energies. Is that always possible in cinema?
Not always possible.
How do you navigate the bad energies then?
Keep a distance.
Okay. So just interact minimally and
Interact minimally. You know whether there is something to take from that person or there's nothing to take from that person. Someone comes with a bad mood, it's not going to be your job to set their mood right. You can try because you're a good person, you try. You try. My mom always tells if someone's upset with me, she'll say, Mamta is someone who always wants everybody to be happy. So just, you know, don't always think that just because she's very strong, you can take all your problems to her. And I also have this amazing talent. I'll go exactly where the problems are because I always feel that I want to solve the problems of the world. It's changed a lot after my life in LA. I think I've learned to keep a healthy distance. I've gotten better at saying no, politely declining.
Right.
You know, I've gotten better. You have to learn these things.
Yeah.
They're not taught to you.
right,
Yeah.
right. This, you know, I feel that you know, sometimes somebody has articulated you and somebody who has been through so much you have to be a life coach as well.
I've
You know,
thought about taking a certification.
because
Yeah.
it's not everybody who has, fortunate or not, these experiences, and to be able to talk about them and to be able to use them to shape your life, that's not an easy thing, and a lot of people get into very negative spaces,
Yeah.
because it's the end of the world, it's that, and to
Negative
kind
is
of,
easy.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's
Negative is easy. Going through all this and still having a positive outlook on life is where the challenge lies.
so why didn't you take that certification?
Well, one, that's in the US. I still want to. I want to be a. See, here you can be anything. You don't need certification for anything.
Right.
It is very sad. You can be anything here.
Yeah.
Anybody can be anything. There is no validation. You don't know if this person has experience. I mean, I've had that experience with, um, earlier we were talking about people who work with artists, right?
Yeah.
Makeup artists, for example, right? I've had assistant boys who will come and just hold the brush next to me, put a picture on Instagram. 1 week down the road, they're booking wedding makeup. They don't have any products with them. They're not, so nobody knows. So this is the sad side of Instagram, right? So I don't know why I kind of went into that, but that's how the world is. So
Yeah.
certification is very important as far as at least in other countries. When you are a certified life coach, you know that you have been taught something. I think the process of, for example, a lot of people are asking me, Mamta, when are you going to direct a film?
Right. Oh, you have a production house now.
Yeah, but I've kind of also realized that it is not. I cannot do that on my own
Right.
because I can't handle the stress of it. It should be for you.
Right.
When you say that you're going to do something, you need to learn, the nitty-gritties of handling every aspect of it. Can you handle the stress that comes along with running a production house, right? Maybe I'm not cut out for that.
Right.
I don't know. So I'm yet to learn that process. Being in films for 18 to 19 years does not make me a director instantaneously.
Right.
It does not. Have I gone through the process of learning screenwriting, learning the art of filmmaking? Yes, I have experience, but I've not gone in for theories. So there is an ABCD, there is a structure to these things.
right.
Actually, there is a structure. But in real world, people think anything is possible without structure. Here, sab kuch chalta hai attitude, right? I don't think I'm comfortable with that. So maybe that is why I need anything that I think I need to do. Of course, acting has just happened for me, and I still don't think I've reached the top of, I've aced it. There's still a lot of learning to do. And in fact, when I was living in LA, I did go for a few, just like that, for random, workshops and acting classes. Because at the time I was not able to work. I didn't even look like I could work, look oriented sort of an industry. At least on the at least one basic appearance should be there. You should be presentable. You can't look sick, right, and be in front of camera. So there were years where I had to stay away, 2 years, when I was a little overtreated. So at that time, just to satisfy that, the passion and the keep fueling that passion inside me, I went for some workshops and would go for acting classes and still kind of regain that confidence. Okay, Mamta, you can still do it.
Right.
These people don't care who you are. They don't know who you are. So, go in and, satisfy, feel full and come back home, right? And I'm happy eating that meal, going to sleep. So this process is very important. Would I like to become a life coach at some point? I don't know. It could be something that I might do later, properly, with a structure. I know that I'm on the right path. And what I've seen overseas is even people who are structured life, life coaches, certified life coaches, they still talk to their tutors. They still talk to their gurus,
Yeah.
Who have taught them. Because I'm a life coach. I don't know everything about life. I'm speaking from my experience, but am I a monk? No, I'm not.
Yeah.
Nobody's perfect.
Yeah.
So that is basically life. That is what you're coaching, right? That life is not perfect.
Yeah.
But you have to manage your expectations
Yeah.
according to the
because
environment.
even if as you're coaching, life is happening to you.
Yeah.
And strange things are happening while you're, so you'll never really be an expert. So
Yeah, you'll never be an expert. You'll
Yeah.
never, ace this game, right?
Yeah.
So that itself is this itself, just knowing this is what makes living life so beautiful.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah,
So,
just
thank you so much for sharing so much. And,
Yeah.
I'm
your
just going to
questions
ask
have
you.
always been interesting. You're very curious, and I love that.
See, it also helps if the other person is articulate, so
Yeah,
I'm able to
of
kind of pick
course.
up something.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
finally, there's this lovely word in live, the character that you use. You know the word I'm
I
going
know
to.
it. I know
You
it.
know the
Yes,
word. Yes,
yes. Because I was standing up for that word. I was
yeah.
like, so I'm going to use this word. We need to, invent this word. I don't
Yeah.
understand why it's not
Right. So
there.
we hear about heroism. We
Yeah.
never. That was the first time I heard the word heroinism, and you actually say that
Yeah, I
that's
said,
something. Ah,
heroism.
yeah,
Yes,
heroinism. So
yes.
that was. So that's a great word, and maybe we
Thank
don't
you.
use it enough. But do you feel that some in your life you've kind of
In my own,
earned the right to use that word?
in my own right, I am a heroine. I am a hero in my own right. In my own world, I am. I know that I have done a lot of things which is practically impossible to achieve on some days. And I'm very, like I said, I'm very proud that I push myself. I'm very thankful to certain habits. Everyone is a product of their environment, right? Most often, your environment is created because of your habits. They were cultivated very young for me.
Wait. The environment is due to the habits.
Yeah, you can develop your environment can be created through your habits,
Right.
because you will not put yourself in certain environments if it is not going to support certain habits that
Oh,
you
okay,
have,
right. Now I get it.
and these habits have been formed, like for example, the moment I wake up, the first thing I think about after brushing my teeth is, of course, water drinking and all that is there. I have to get my first at least 30 minutes of exercise every single day. And those habits were formed from the age of 13 or 14. This is what has helped me remain healthy, keep a stable mind. No matter what, I will do it. And that is a method for me to assess myself, whether I'm breathing okay, whether I'm normal. All these things have helped me during my chemo days. And I bounce back right after 6, 7 months of chemo, and I come back in under a year, and I'm looking absolutely normal in front of the camera. Why? How? I mean, when I talk to some of my close friends, I tell them I'm a walking chemistry lab. There's no drug that I've not had. I've gone through so many things, and I'm still standing tall like a fort. And I'm very proud of myself. And I thank the habits that unknowingly I developed from a very, very young age. And of course, I had a lot of time in hand because I'm an only child. I
Yeah.
didn't have siblings to waste a lot of time with. So these are the things these are tools in life. And then as I grew up, I learned more tools. I'd gone into a lot of retreats, and silences help, you know. So a lot of tools that I have to carry my life forward, I would say. Yeah.
Right. Thank you so much. I wish you all the best for
Thank you very
Maharaja.
much.
And it was a pleasure talking to you. And
Do
I
watch
think,
the film.
yeah, I
I'm
will watch the
very, very
film
curious.
with
I want to know if everyone has felt the way I felt. That's what I'm like, or is there something wrong with me?
Yeah, I have this I don't know what it is, but sometimes there's like everybody likes a film and for some reason that does not work for me. Or the other way around. It's like everybody does not like a film and it's
Works
suddenly
for
like,
you.
oh my God, that is the
God,
most
I'm
profound thing.
exactly the same.
It's very weird.
I'm
And
exactly the
sometimes
same.
it's
What
like
super hit in the theater is not my cup of tea.
I don't know why. So sometimes I like, but I hope this one I really want this to
But
work for
in
me.
recent times, some of the Malayalam films that worked in the theater has worked for me. Malayalam. I don't know about I'm a Malayali, so first thing I watch is Malayalam. Avesham really worked for me. Manjamil Boys worked for me.
Right.
But they're theater hits. So it was the not so normal, feedback that I had. Because
Yeah.
mostly, like you said, things that work in the theater just doesn't work for me.
Yeah.
It's the other way around for me.
Yeah.
And I always wonder, is there something wrong with me?
Yeah, sometimes what happens is when I watch a film in the theater and I really like it, uh, then, sometimes to refresh your memory or maybe revisit some scenes, you watch it on a phone and you're like, really? I like this movie? It's such a difference.
Yeah.
It makes such a difference where you see a
Are you
movie.
saying that are you talking about a difference between community viewing and private viewing?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and also the size of
The size of the
the
screen.
screen.
Yeah.
When you watch something like let's say you go to the theater and you rave about a movie, and then like a friend or somebody else watches it on a phone and says, "Why are you raving about this movie?"
Yeah.
I always have to tell them that these are two very different films that we are
Yeah.
watching.
Yeah.
I've seen like a big version with big sound and
Yeah.
big everything,
Yeah.
and you're watching it like on a
Tiny.
tiny thing,
Yeah,
and it
yeah.
really makes a difference.
Yeah.
So anyway, but thank you so much, and it's been a
Thank
real
you very
pleasure.
much.
Thank you.
It's been
Bye.
amazing sharing everything with you.
Bharath Institute of Higher Education and Research Chennai. Admissions open for BTech BSc Agri, BPharm Nursing, Paramedical and Arts and Science courses.